You are listening to the Photographic Podcast. Your hosts are Jay, Justin, Mike, and Valentine. Welcome back, everybody.
What's going on?
Yo,
What's up?
I had to whisper.
So, we last left off with a question.
We did.
Mm-hmm. What was it?
And that question was, do you ever get intimidated by others' work? Like, if I'm sure everyone has been on like Instagram and been scrolling and they're like, man, this person's stuff looks so good. And they're just like, you feel some type of way. And, you know, sometimes you compare yourself to other people. Have y'all done that?
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
One of my worst traits. I look at other people's work and I'm like, well, I should quit because I'm never going to be that good. Like, just period. End of story. It'll never look that good. So, look.
Sometimes I think we look at things and sometimes it's like some shit that's like probably super duper photoshopped and you don't even realize it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I wonder how much of what I see that I'm comparing my work against is actually like heavily edited with Photoshop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For the longest time when I was looking through stuff on Instagram, I would see like, when I was looking through like street photography stuff, I'd see photos that are like hyper focused from like foreground, midground, background. I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? Not realizing they probably stacked those images to like make it look like that. And I'm like, how do I get photos to look like that? And like, for so long, I was just so intimidated and like so gear focused because I'm like, oh man, they're a Sony shooter. That's how they get all that stuff. And it's like, no, it's in Photoshop. So
Yep. I always wonder that, especially, you know, how you see some street photography, like it's usually black and white. Like you'll see that nice ass like cut. It'll be like a cut and then a dark side and like a light side. It's like, how the fuck did they get? Where did they get? Like, I really would love to get a photo like that. And it's like, are they just finding like an area and just like standing with there waiting? I mean, sometimes people do that, and I'm very impatient, so maybe I'll never get a shot like that. But
I think it depends on the photographer, on the techniques that they use for that. Because like some might be in editing, others might be they're waiting there for hours or days, checking a spot and waiting for the right moment.
yeah, see, that's a dedication right there because.
Yeah.
No, let me get my good old. Let's see if I can get it fast enough. Where is it at?
The thing that
Damn it.
we've kind of talked about, like modifying.
Yeah, you're gonna have to repeat that.
I was just saying that before, you know, we talked about modifying photos and where those lines are drawn about what's actual photography and not, but some of those like replacing aspects in Photoshop, like the sky, for example, I didn't ever think about that as an option. And so, you know, especially in the beginning, scrolling through Instagram, watching videos, and you see all these people and their works, and you're like, man, that's everything about this is beautiful. And then you learn, oh, they used a different sky in this shot, or they used some other landscape aspect in another one. And it's like,
Yep, composite.
Oh, there's that. And it is a little intimidating because you're like, is this what I have to do to make an image look that good?
Photos, yeah.
Right.
I mean, everything just kind of go back to perspective and says, okay, well, this is how their work is, but my what I've edited basically goes by what be some minimal editing to it. I didn't just recreate a visually appealing scene. Because like I know my biggest thing is skies itself, and then whenever I get like maybe I want a clear blue day, but whenever I take a shot, it's like maybe a white sky almost, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what I got to work with. I was like, am I really gonna say, hey, do I go ahead and replace this guy? I mean, I can, but is that moving away from what I wanted people to see? Did I really want people to be like, oh wow, man, he really captured the sky? And I'm like, I didn't really do that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Right. But I think that is true. But I think in the beginning, like, you try to hold yourself to like whatever standard that somebody else has created before you. I think like after a while you get comfortable with how you're shooting and what your kind of view of it, I guess, looks like. But like, especially like the first year, it's always like, how did they do this? How did they do that? What do I have to do to get something like that? Like Justin said. Yeah, that's pretty heavy. Like a heavy standard to set yourself to, and you're like, I don't even know how they got there. So it's just kind of exposes you to the more things that you don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the intimidating aspect. Not necessarily that they did those things, but that you're out there shooting and you see like maybe where your shot, like the sky's blown out or something's kind of crazy with the image, and you're like, well, these were the conditions at the time, and now how do I make that work for me? And yeah, that is, I think that's the biggest thing for me, especially in the beginning. I mean, now I'm dealing with a whole a similar issue where I don't have the computing power to do some of the things that I would like to do in the realm of editing. So now I'm looking at a price tag, and that is a whole separate type of intimidation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's running 32 gigs. I'm only running at 8 or 16.
If we're being like all the way transparent,
16.
I find myself like watching all three of y'all's work like a hawk. So I mean, I know I spoke about it before. Is Jalissa's editing is just remarkable. I mean, I literally have conversations outside of the podcast and outside of even the photography group where I'll just show somebody like Jalissa's work, and then they're like, "Holy shit, I got to do work with this person." And then, I mean, in a way, I'll sometimes feel kind of jealous. I'm like, "Oh man, how come? What about me?" But then I still am appreciative because I'm like, she really has just a thing where the way you edit is just phenomenal. And I mean, I look at it and I'm trying to analyze and say, okay, how can I make a version like this of myself? And then, same thing, same thing goes for Michael. And, you're like the landscape work or just some of the, like the portraits that you've done. And then also the, what you call it, the product photography. I mean, that's just like a different level. Yeah. And I know times whenever I talk to you about it and you talk about like how other people critique your work, I'm like, nah, that's BS. There's no way. And but then I can see it. But I'm like, okay, guys, y'all kind of pushing. Y'all just trying to find something. I mean, all in all, this is amazing work. This is not something some random person could just come out the blue and then just do themselves. And then now you also have Justin, and then where his work literally just has a language of itself where you can look at it and it gives a story. Now people could just literally pick up a camera and just click on something, but the way that if you're walking by Justin and you're just watching him, look at things before he decides to even take a picture, I feel like me just watching him, there's a lot of like mental process that is even going before he just like clicking the shutter. Like there's so many different variables I feel like that's going inside his head. I might be wrong, but I'm just saying, like from an outside perspective.
You're wrong. It's literally just me like, oh, that's pretty. Let's take a picture, and that's about it.
But then, But then I verify myself because whenever I look at your finished product, I'm like, I was there when he took that. Like for instance, like the BLM movement march where we was there, and to be with you when we're taking those pictures, and then to see what you got from it, it's like I felt that picture coming to life when you was taking it. And I don't know if you can get that from a lot of other people. So I mean, from all three of y'all each have like one particular thing that just I feel like sets y'all apart, which makes y'all all great photographers. I don't think you can say that for a lot of people.
Thanks.
That's very sweet. We're all different. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned something about the like people critiquing our work or saying, you know, this was wrong about that, or you could have changed this or done whatever. And I think over the last several months, especially, well, we'll just say since COVID, and I was brave enough to actually post something up somewhere because I'm not always that brave to ask somebody for their opinion. But after the last several months, I've kind of realized that whenever you ask other people for their opinion, they're going to pick it apart. They're going to tell you, and they are quick to jump to telling you the worst thing about what it is that you've done.
Yep, bad always first.
They're not always coming from a bad place when they do that. But whenever you do something and you take time and then you finally work up the courage to post it up for somebody else to actually give you their opinion on it, when somebody says something negative, the first response to that is it's so painful. Like you just want to be like, you don't know what I've done.
Yeah.
But what about even more whenever you post some work that you're like, man, this is amazing. I know I'm not putting it out there to get responses, but I want people to see this work I did, and then there's no comments.
I'm okay with that.
Man.
I'm okay with somebody just ignoring me. I would rather that. If I ask for criticism, then I have to, in my own head, learn how to deal with the worst of it. But if I don't ask for it, I don't want it. I just rather not know. And then I'm going to go through my collection of works that I have posted out in the world, and I will see, well, this one wasn't very well received, and I'll kind of parse some of that out. And maybe some of it wasn't well received because the audience that needed to see it didn't. And maybe I'll go back and revisit it and post it again later or something like that. But no, I'd rather not hear it. If it's bad and I didn't ask for it, I don't want it. I'll figure it out on my own. Trust me.
Such a mature response. That is growth.
I don't know about that. It's just I know how I'm going to respond.
Whereas I would have went like completely ham on social media.
Did someone ask you an opinion? Did I ask your fucking opinion?
I don't know. I feel like when we put things out into the public square, people are allowed to have their own opinions about it. I mean, sometimes it's going to be offensive. Sometimes it's going to be complimentary. But if I'm putting it out on social media, especially like places like Instagram, where I want people to look at my work, some amount of criticism is going to happen no matter what. So if you all criticism can be constructive, whether or not the person intends it to be constructive or they're just trying to rile you up, is a different story. But you can take that and run with it and make it constructive. I personally don't really get any type of criticism for my work, which I don't know what that says, whether it's the people around me who don't have any criticisms of my work, or they're not looking at it enough to where they have anything else to say beyond, oh, that's a pretty picture. I don't know. But I think that a certain amount of criticism is necessary for us to grow. How we choose to take it is upon us, but in order to grow at something, somebody's got to be able to tell you where you went wrong. And I look back to the couple of people that I remember giving me criticism once upon a time, and really their only thing was like, your framing, like take a step to the right and then look to your left a little bit, and that's all I got. Or like, make sure the lines in your photos are straight. But like, it was never like, oh, your composition's all fucked up and your colors are weird, and you have stop turning your clarity slider up to 500. Like, I learned those things on my own from like looking back at my photos and be like, oh, I deep fried the fuck out of that photo. I should go back and like change it a little bit. But other than that, like, I don't know. I think those kinds of criticisms are fair, but like to grow, we should seek out some criticism.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same for me.
Whether or not Instagram's the right place to have those discussions is a different story.
Well, My first time was with a photo of myself. I ran it at 30 millimeter, and then I took a photo of myself and edited it and whatever, and then it was off. And I was like, "What do y'all think of this?" And they're like, "Well, your teeth, you really edit your teeth. They're kind of blue." And I'm like, "Ah, fuck." And my skin or something, it was something weird with my skin, and it's I don't know, but I was like, "Damn, is it really that bad?" That was my first time. It was on like a photography group on Facebook. They will get, especially product photography.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
Critique the hell
think
out you, be
about
like, I hate it here.
think about the industry that's going for, though. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very, very high standard of image quality. So like there's a certain level of attention to detail that is required for those kinds of photos. So yeah, they're going to pick you apart, but are they being assholes, or are they just like trying to get you to play at a certain level? Which
Sometimes
I mean,
that answer is yes.
yeah, it
Both.
may be yes to both of those, but like,
Sometimes.
there a certain amount of attention to detail is required for any type of thing, and we are in a visual art.
Mhm.
So like, attention to detail is literally everything. So I don't know where I'm going with that. Yeah, I don't know.
That makes sense.
It is.
It
And the
makes
other
sense.
thing with product photography that I noticed, especially posting up in those groups, I mean, it is both of those things. Sometimes they do this position of authority, like they know better because they have the experience. And I
That's what I don't
understand that
like.
when you have experience, that does gain you a little bit of an edge on
Mhm.
the knowledge base, but it doesn't
Do you
make
have
you
to
the
be an
end
asshole
all.
about it?
And
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, and sometimes it comes across that way. But you are right with product photography because of the high visual standards, since it's largely used commercially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's so many things, so many pieces of product photography and food photography too, where it's like you're doing set design, you're doing light design,
Mhm.
you're cleaning the products, you're doing all these different things, and they
Plating
aren't
and
just paying attention to your composition and framing. They're paying attention to the dust on the tabletop of the thing that you're taking a photo of. So
yeah.
Mhm.
it gets pretty intense in those groups. So yeah, if you don't build up a little bit of a thick skin, don't post photos in a product photography group.
Man,
Good
any
to
little
know.
thing, especially shoes. You ever seen someone post like a shoe or something? You know how they do the floating shoe one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
I see people get picked apart on that. They're like, there's a little crease in the. I'm looking, I'm like, what the fuck?
What the
What are
fuck
they
are you
talking
talking
about?
about?
This picture is
Yeah.
like perfect. And they're like, I see a little, you need to smooth that part out. I'm like, motherfucker, no one's looking at that fucking shit.
Pixel peeping. But some people
Except they
do.
Basically.
are.
Yeah.
Pixel peeping.
We've had our discussions about pixel peepers.
Yeah.
They can go fuck themselves. And also, I'm a pixel peeper. So I only do it on my photos, and now that I have this giant ass monitor in front of me, it's really hard not to.
It's hard.
Yeah, but like at the same time, if you're just starting out, don't pixel peep your own photos. Like, focus on like the composition, focus on the exposure triangle of ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. Get those things right and well balanced in a photo, and focus on that first. Then work on your composition with like basic rule of thirds, and then you can focus on other things to like leading lines and changing up the way that you compose a composition. But like, focus on the basics and nail those, and then like you can start playing with other things. But don't pixel peep your own photos. Don't do that.
Right.
It's mean.
Yeah, don't do it. But so to the other side of the whole getting critiqued and learning how to deal with some of that stuff is I've posted up in, I think, one of our local like the Dallas photography group. I've posted some photos up there, and I've had like a range of responses on that. Like some people trying to give me critiques, constructive criticism to do that. But then I've had on the same post, other people respond going, "Don't listen to all these people. It's fine. It's your art. You do your thing."
Was that me?
No.
Do y'all think that somebody who does that, like the person who comes in there is like, oh, let me add a critique for this person because I'm helping them out. Even though, let's say if it's like a great picture and then you don't, fix people, well, if you did, will be the only time that you actually notice something. What if those people only did that so other people can see as them like, oh, they must have like a good eye. Let me check them out. Let me check their work because they must know something.
No, I'm sure those people exist. Like there's always those assholes that like want to get clout because they think they know better. But all it takes is to look through their portfolio and realize that nobody actually likes their shit because they take bad photos.
Or they don't take any.
I mean,
you go on their page and there's nothing there.
Yeah, or there's nothing there at all.
The person who makes that comment, the person who makes that comment, I'm the person that's like, huh. And then I decide to go on their profile and be like, well, let's look at you. and then when I see it, I'm like, oh, why is this person talking? But I'm like, oh, everybody has
everybody's equal on the internet, but
so
like,
whatever.
Just because we're equals doesn't make us right.
Yeah. Like I said, I've had the gamut of people tell me, hey, it's your art. It looks like how you want it to look.
Yeah.
And then I have to have conversations with them. Like I wouldn't have posted it here if I thought it was as good as it could be. And I wanted other people's input to see if there was something that I missed because I'm still learning.
Sure.
I hope I never get to a point where I'm not learning something, but
yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm not posting stuff up because I don't want the feedback. Like obviously I expected negativity. I wouldn't have posted it.
Yeah.
But I've also had the people who would comment on it and just say, yeah, what he said, like to somebody else's critique.
Yeah.
Which is completely useless. Like you could have just kept scrolling by that one. Now I got a notification on my phone that you commented.
Now that
what he
two
said.
people feel the exact same way about my photo. Great. Thanks for helping me.
Nobody asked for having a second shooter on the internet.
But then I had a conversation regarding white balance and color correction on some photos, and like this guy, I probably mentioned it before, but topically, this guy had actually sent me private messages, and I was able to have a conversation with him separate from the group, so that we could have like more civility, and it didn't look like there was this whole long kind of
that's respect.
Back and forth, and I really appreciated that. So yeah, I'm definitely saying if you want to improve and you're in a group on Facebook or part of a community of photographers and you want your stuff looked at, definitely do that. But also know that there's going to be some guys that's going to respond that are going to be completely disrespectful, and there will be people who respond that are going to be the most respectful that you've ever had interactions with, and then there will be the third option of people that are just going to tell you that you just do you, boo.
Yeah. I'm one of those. I'm going to be a mother hen about your photos, and I'm going to go through the comments, and I will shit on everyone who's being mean to you because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
So what if somebody came in and he posted, "Hey guys, looking for critiques," and then the first person was like, "Oh well, good thing that you did this for free."
Well, I mean,
like,
it's fucked up, but like it all depends on the intentions behind what they say. If they're like, if they're gonna come in there and be like, your photos suck, you should sell your camera gear. If I see that, I'm gonna jump in those comments and be like, go fuck yourself. Keep taking photos until they're good.
Nah.
Learn.
I'm gonna reply back. I'd be like, "Where do you live?" Question mark.
I think I play Call of Duty with that guy.
Say hey, I'm doing a photo shoot at my house. You should come through.
How about you show me how to take a better photo?
Yeah, if they're not offering anything outside of
setup.
That sucks, then that's not useful to me.
Yeah.
Like it's fine if you think it sucks, but at least tell me why. That way I can improve.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. People don't do that. They're just like, you suck. Like, how about you actually take time and be like, hey, so I feel like you should do this or do that, or hey, do you have experience with this? Like, have you ever tried this? Instead of just saying you suck, because in reality they probably suck too because they can't give advice.
Yeah.
I just don't like it, so that's why it matters.
They're probably Nikon shooters, so like we'll just not have to worry about them.
Hey, I got a Nikon like right here on the
Man,
and that's where it stays.
Just like that, we lost some Nikon followers.
Actually, I was thinking about taking it out again just so I can show people you don't need no fancy ass shit.
I'm going to sell all my Canon gear and switch to Fuji anyway. So
I was close.
Don't tempt me.
I was thinking about it.
I do want to try a Fuji camera. I just like how small and compact they are.
Yeah, they're good for street photography, like the X100V or whatever. A lot of people like that one a lot.
Yeah, I just noticed one of the landscape photographers that I follow had switched from Canon to Fuji, and I was like, ooh,
they're so contrasty.
I've been eyeballing those things.
I've tried the X4, and I was like, I don't like all the switches and knobs. It's like gimmicky. No one, or who's actually changing their ISO and shit up here, and fucking all the knobs and shit at the top.
I mean, I might if I had those buttons and levers and dials and stuff.
I mean, I have to push the button on top and adjust it with the wheels and the stuff anyway. I mean,
your film camera?
No, on my Canon.
No, not an actual dial.
Yeah.
For ISO, you're up there actually clicking it, click.
Like I have to hit a button and then I have to use my scroll wheel.
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm talking about actual.
I have a little slide bar on like the EOS R. I use that for the ISO, and then the control ring on the lens is shutter speed. So like, if it was just on the top of the camera where it's all one hand, sure.
It's not one hand. You're sitting there. So we hold our cameras right with the right hand, and you got like 3 different dials up here. One for ISO, one for damn, what the fuck is it?
There's an exposure one, and then there's one for shutter speed. Yeah.
Shutter speed. All this is up here when normally we can do all this in just in this area on our hands. Like we can, okay, I'm changing my ISO. Okay, I'm changing my shutter. Up here, you have these 3 separate things. Are you going to say, okay, shutter speed?
I'm not
ISO.
saying it's more efficient. It's just a different way to do things.
I didn't use it. I noticed it. It was cool. I thought I would. I was like, that's cool as hell. But then I got it. I'm like, when you're actually taking the picture and the last thing you feel like doing is, I need to change my ISO and going like this and going click, 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 click when you can't even see like what's going on while you're doing it.
Well, one might say when you learn the camera well enough, you don't have to like pull it down and look at it. You just have it in your hands like we do with our cameras. We know where all the buttons and stuff are that like to the point where I don't even think about it. I just change those things automatically to suit what I want. The image that I want. Thankfully, with mirrorless cameras, we can see that through the EVF or through the live view on the back. But I mean, I don't think about it. I just change it. So with a different camera, once I learn it to that point, I don't think that like having the dials on the top or a button or a switch would like greatly impact my performance.
Maybe. I thought it was pretty cool until I had it.
So.
Yeah, you let me know if you use 3 different dials on top to change anything when you can do it with one hand on one side.
Right. Well, I'm definitely not going to say listen to the Fuji, but also still F Nikon.
Yeah,
what's wrong with Nikon?
I don't know.
Take great pictures. I don't know about video though.
Nothing. I just needed somebody to hate on, and Nikon is the.
It's always Nikon though. It's always Nikon.
Olympus. Because do they even make cameras anymore?
I think they're going out.
Yeah, they're gone. So fuck them too.
Yeah, I'm selling my own one anyway. So
no,
I'm not
Panasonic,
to Olympus.
Lumix.
You just be easy when you talk about Minolta around me. I'll fight.
Hey, Minolta gang forever. I notice a lot of people shoot on a Lumix GH5. So like apparently they do pretty good for video. I don't have any other comments outside of that.
I also saw a couple videos like that as well. And I was actually curious about it too. I was going to look into them.
Well,
I was like, you know what?
do it
I'm
before they stop
Canon.
making cameras. Yeah, stick with Canon. They're great. And expensive.
Shout out to Canon. We're all looking for a sponsor.
Yeah. Canon, please sponsor us and give everybody an R5, including me. I could really use one.
I'll take R5, R6, whatever you're handing out, mirrorless, new, full frame.
Yeah. R5, please, and a 15 to 35 f2.8 RF mount, please. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm on with that one too.
Yeah, they're gonna give you an M6.
Hey, I'll take an M6. Those things are super tiny and easy to use. The only thing is put an RF mount on it, because M mount lenses are shit. And they're tiny, and you don't even make them anymore. So help everybody out.
Olympus, if you want to sponsor us, even though we just talk shit, we'll take that too.
Except for Nikon. I don't want sponsorship from Nikon.
Nikon, I still got you over there on my shelf. Oh
my God. Would you look at the time? Literally, look at the time.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Bye.